so Verizon tells me it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the Inland Wetlands regular meeting Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 to order. Thank you all for coming. Before we start the regular agenda, I have a special request from one of our residents, Maureen Eberly. She'd just like to address the commission very briefly, and I told her I would generously give her 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see you. I'm here, as you know, as the representative for Granby for the Lower Farmington River, Salmon Brook Wild and Scenic. I wanted to give you an update on what's happening. We've been blessed with federal money, so I'll start with the fun stuff from the federal government for grants. And I wanted you to know some of the previous grants that helped various organizations. For example, Holcomb Farm received a grant from us to do bridge work. McLean's received a great deal of funding to do an archaeological dig. And at some point, they'll bring artifacts into the public through the library or some way so that they can see what they found. There's also been a lot of attention given to invasives and the removal of them along the river. East Granby was blessed with a lot of money to take the kids and do a program hatching fish eggs and putting them into the salmon brook. And also water loggers, which are devices that float freely in the streams that collect information about water quality, were purchased. Now, what you need to know is that organizations, schools, towns can request grant money. Land trusts do. I can't give you an exact dollar amount, what the grants are, but you will see in what I'm going to give you tonight reports of some of the grant money that was used most recently to complete projects. One of the other things that FRWA has given the Lower Farmington River is $900, and there will be additional money put towards a kiosk. The kiosk will be located in Salmon Brook Park, right where the new walking path is, and it's the entrance going into McLean's. We have been working collaboratively with Park and Rec. Sandy Yost has been helpful developing a narrative that will go on the back side of the kiosk, depicting the outstanding resource values that Salmon Brook offers the community. The front side of the kiosk will be information about the Lower Farmington River Salmon Brook Wild and Scenic. Additionally, until October 29th, I believe, you can go to the library and see the quilt panels depicting scenes along the Salmon Brook. It's a very worthwhile project, whether you know how to quilt or not, to go over and see the panels and the creativity that has been done. There's also a narrative that accompanies each of the panels, describing the scene and what those outstanding resource values are. Yesterday, last night, with the help of Holly Johnson, we held an informative seminar for people who are interested in learning about how Salmon Brook became designated federally protected. There were approximately 18 people in attendance. A slideshow was given depicting beautiful scenes along the river. People had many questions about it. And the focus was to let people know that if they see something, they should say something, because the pollution that occurs to streams and rivers has grown exponentially. A lot of it, studies show, is the reason behind it because of developers. Connecticut, the legislature recently issued a report about raw sewage being dumped into the Connecticut River. So everywhere you look, it seems that there has been an assault, upon the protection of rivers and streams. Personally, I'm grateful for the collaboration that has developed and existed between inland wetland and the Lower Farmington River. I won't go back into history and explain what all those are, but I think you know that working collaboratively gets a lot accomplished. So, bringing it to a conclusion, I have gifts. They've been put together. Please.
You went to Disney?
So in here you'll find the 2024 financial report. You'll also find a mug, a hat that you can wear in yourself while you may be kayaking down the river, a water bottle, a mug for coffee. There's also a very informative booklet about how and what to do for eradicating invasive species. It was put together by people in Simsbury, and it is available also in the library. Do you have any questions?
Does the commission have any questions? And for those of you who are wondering, wild and scenic designation is a federal designation that was first applied to the Farmington River back in the early 80s. It doesn't require regulations. It just directs local commissions like ours to be extra sensitive to the values in the river, in the wild and scenic resources in the river, and that designation was extended up the Salmon Brook into Granby in, I believe, the 90s. So it's a worthwhile program. Actually, the Farmington River and the Salmon Brook River were two of the first three rivers on the eastern coast to get the designation. Most designations prior to that were on federal lands. So it's a big deal, and the only thing it really regulates are federal projects like dam projects and things like that. But beyond that, it directs local commissions like this to be very careful when considering things which would impact the Salmon Brook and the Farmington River.
The Resource Protection Committee wrote a letter and gave it to you because we are only advisory, as you know. We have no regulatory authority, but it's information that I think you found invaluable and that helps you formulate your decisions. I think, John, too, we need to give recognition to Dave because Dave was also instrumental in working to get that wild and scenic designation. So.
And thank you for your service. It's all volunteer, and as we know, volunteerism takes a lot of time and effort.
Oh, yes. Mark Fiorentino, once I get him, he'll say, please sit on this commission. It's just a couple of meetings.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll go to the regular agenda. Thank you again, Maureen. I need actions on the minutes of the September 10th, 2025. So I'd like a motion. I know Dave has some edits, but we need a motion to start the process. So who wants to move to approve?
So moved.
Fred, second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Dave?
Right. In the third paragraph, the C paragraph of item number 4, last line, the whole thing reads, Bednaz stated that she and Sue Oki have been conducting site inspections about every 2 weeks at the Station 280 apartment complex, and the uncovered dumpster causing concern with has been removed. Well, there's a word missing there, or there's an extra word. We either don't need that with, or there should be something following with.
I think we can eliminate with.
Okay. All right, I just didn't want to make sure we weren't missing something.
I don't think so. I think there was a lot of concern about that dumpster, things, the wind blowing things out of the dumpster. So it was a general concern by a lot of the citizens that was brought to the town's
Okay.
attention.
Okay.
So any other revisions, modifications, amendments? Okay. With that amendment, all in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, approved. Thank you. And thanks for picking that up, David. All right, item number 3, permit request, 230 Granville Road, Mr. Lebrecq. Permit request to conduct repairs to an existing driveway and natural stone retaining walls due to erosion within a regulated area. This was continued, I think it was received at the last meeting and continued until tonight. Is anyone here to present on that? Yeah, if you'd approach the podium and identify yourself and your address, please.
Nolan Lebrecq, 230 Granville Road, requesting driveway repair permission.
Do you want to weigh in on this? Because we had, I believe, asked Mr. Lebrecq to stay in contact with you and try to address some of the issues that you had. Kate?
Yeah, we met on site and it was very helpful. And we had great news because you contacted the Connecticut DOT and you got a very prompt response to do work to protect the Salmon Brook from water that was running off, potentially causing erosion. So with Lower Farmington River Watershed Association, we have success on one location. That happened really quickly. So with that took care of a lot of concerns of the erosion that would happen with the water coming down the road. And Nolan's, prepared to not work on that area until
Yeah, they fixed the north and the south entrance.
already.
Yeah. I'll probably add a little bit more to the north, but it's enough to keep the water out for now.
That's great. Happy to
But,
hear that.
it's good.
The only thing I have for comment on this is that on the application, it doesn't state that you want to pave. I know that was something we talked about at like the longer plan for the property, including it part of this permit. So if you just want to confirm that part of this project includes the future paving of the driveway, that is at the higher elevation, not the one that sweeps down the bottom for the
Yeah.
record, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, in the one of the emails, they said that's in like the long-term plan, but that would be down the road in a
Perfect.
couple of years possibly.
I don't have any other concerns. I think it's ready to go, and the biggest concern is when it's raining, cats and dogs,
Yeah.
that road might give you,
It's
A little
had a
water.
couple storms since they fixed it, and I've watched it, and it actually did hold the water back. I was actually surprised.
that's great.
Don't flood my backyard anymore.
Or your house.
Just so I'm clear,
The house.
DOT fixed it?
District 4 DOT, yes.
Oh, well, good. That was quick.
Yeah, they actually did a lot more than I was expecting them to. They even fixed like part of the actual driveway itself, like the dip going in. Just shocking.
You must have a lucky star following.
Yeah,
the
no, I
resolution.
was really
That's-
happy with them.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for the applicant or for staff from the commission members? Hearing none. We do have a draft approval letter with 8 conditions. I'm sure everyone's reviewed it. They're pretty standard conditions. So if anyone would like to make a motion, I'd entertain it.
So moved.
Is it a motion to approve?
Oh, you didn't say that.
Okay, just being clear for the record. Motion to approve, and that would be with the 8 conditions set
Right,
forth in the
yes.
draft approval letter?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Fred. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, you're all set. As long as you comply with the conditions, we shouldn't have to see you again unless he paves, right?
No,
No?
even then.
Okay. Good to go.
Thank you, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, bond reduction request for 188 Day Street subdivision. Who's here on that? Mr. McNaughton. Would you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, sir. I am Kirk McNaughton, with Peak Mountain Development. You folks probably remember me, I was in just a few months back. On May 29th, you issued a approval letter for my Breezy Meadows 7-lot subdivision up on Day Street. And in that conditional letter, the item number 4 called for us to deposit $8,000 with the town to cover the costs of monitoring the development activities on the site relating to the wetlands. You remember we have a pretty significant buffer area that we are doing some planting in there. When I received that letter, I was a little surprised because we had never talked about the need for this $8,000 bond, and even in talking with Kate, I wasn't really made aware of that either. And I mean, this money is for paying for inspections and stuff up there, and I have no objection to paying for these monitoring costs, but kind of felt like the amount that you're requiring, $8,000, was a little bit higher than necessary. Because again, we're saying here that the cost of inspection is $100 an hour, and we have to monitor it for 2 years. And I just was doing some quick calculations, figuring, probably the most inspections we do over 2 or 3 years would be maybe just 10 or 15 inspections, and if they were $100 a piece or $150 a piece, you wouldn't need it. You wouldn't need to hold $8,000. So I'm just asking that item number 4 amount of the deposit could be released, and I'm suggesting that $3,000 would probably be an appropriate amount. I'm still on the hook for anything over that anyway, so it would just be a matter of whether the town needed to hold that those extra funds or not.
I don't remember the specific discussion, why we came up with 8,000, Kate, but I know
Well, in
we
general,
usually rely on your analysis of how many inspections you think you're going to need.
and, we also look at the most recent subdivision that we had was Harness Way. And if we remember, Harness Way did have a cut that went down the slope with an outfall that was directly at the watercourse. So part of this is inspection costs. Also part of this is assurance that the site will be left stabilized, if there are any issues with plantings, things so on and so forth. So considering that Harness Way was 3 years ago and that there's a 30% increase in general, like out in the market for anything that you want to buy, food, anything. So we had done the increase in the bond for the subdivision for that reason. I think it can be flexible if the commission feels that's the case. I mean, there are the plantings, there's a driveway that's going somewhat close. There is a steep slope with some outfalls going back there, but the wetland's pretty far away and it's an isolated wetland. So, I think you could make the argument that a slight reduction would be reasonable, but I think just due to the cost of inflation and what the commission has always done in the past for these type of subdivisions, there should be some consideration.
How many units in your subdivision, Mr. Naughton?
7 lots.
7 lots, and Harness Way, how?
I think it was 15? No. Harness Way? 24. Wow.
Well, the thing is,
Smaller area.
these funds are really just for the inspection. They're not for any, it's not like a bond for the work being done or anything like that,
No, I understand that. I was just thinking about the amount of the things that could go wrong and the difference between the 2 subdivisions.
Is there a way you can do whatever $4,000 or $5,000 bond now, and then if you get close to using it all up, come back for an increase, or is that not done?
Usually
I've
works
never
the
done
other
that.
way around.
Yeah.
Usually
yeah.
start high and
We
then.
would give money back.
We give
Most of the time, we
money
give money back.
Okay.
So this is a surety, like this has the plantings that need to be inspected for a period of time, over at, and then what also happens is sometimes we have to send the town engineer out. This is not just my services. If there's inspections that happen, when we get towards the finality of the project, we also have to do inspections at that point to make sure that, everything's in place as, from each different department. So, and I don't know, the one thing that we did do, we could do a little bit more looking at what the bonds have been in terms of these other projects in the past and how much we've utilized them. And we could get back with more of a number and try to do a little research in regards to this and then address it at the next meeting. That could be an option. Or we could try to do standard I don't think I'd go below what our standard is on any subdivision we've done in the past. I don't see any reason for that.
And the
what
most
is that?
recent one was 5.
Was 5?
And that was 3 years ago.
And if I recall Harness Way, there was a direct outlet, like, with a retention basin close to, I mean, this is going back a ways, but, yeah, we don't have anything like that in Mr. McDonald.
No, I mean,
You just
there's
had that one area.
subsurface discharge
Yeah.
from the roof leaders and things like that. So it's discharging to a slope. And then there's going to be a lot of construction that's going to be really close to that wetland that's by the road.
Yeah, there was that one that was fairly close, as I recall.
There'll be the driveways going by there, the plantings. But, there's a lot of area that won't be touched. It'll just be installed with plantings. So,
Actually, it really is just a flat area that's adjacent to the wetland. There's really no steep slope, no water flow. I mean, we're really just, following the invasives plan and then planting the 60 shrubs that are there. So all we're really doing is, and there's not going to be any water flow to speak of, no focus flow, no direct flow.
Is the term of inspection set at 2 years period? What happens if you?
Kirk could take 7 years to build the place. He could take 10, because you can extend the permit, request a permit extension. So, depending how fast things move along, maybe it's where one house goes in every 2 years.
Yeah,
So, things can take longer, things can be open for longer. Market could drop, market could
Well,
do
there-
great, and he could be done in 6 months.
Well, there
if
is a
you're really
requirement
aggressive.
there is a requirement that all those shrubs get installed before the building permit's issued. So we're working on doing that immediately, right now. And then, again, the approval says monitored for 2 years. So, I mean, I think that's, with those two factors, I mean, really, 2 years is really the limit, I think, that,
It's while the soil remains exposed on the site.
Yeah.
So until you get everything stabilized. And that depends on how, the construction goes.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's anything that's been brought up that would necessitate, or whatever term you want to use, having this bond so much higher than the other ones that were cited here.
Well, I think, I wouldn't have a problem if we mirrored what we did in Harness Way. I think that would make sense, and that would be fair. You'd be treated like they were. I don't know what the rest of the commission feels about it. Vicky's nodding.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yeah. I mean,
Well, the only
wouldn't
thing,
want to go too low, but I mean, it's the same as another,
Yeah.
even though it was 3 years ago, and you
well,
have more houses and more impact.
I haven't heard anything that would indicate to me that we needed anything more than what these other ones have had to put up.
That's what I'm suggesting, like, we used 5 for Harness Way.
Right,
So that would seem fair to me.
yeah, that's what I'd say.
especially when there's so many more houses on the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, I think the only difference is this
That
one has
accounts
a
for the
wetland
inflation.
close. Yeah, well, that, and the wetland has, the rates have increased, and not by, exorbitant amounts. And also the wetland that's by the road is gonna, the Harness Way just kind of had it out back. Once they were done, they got it done right away, stabilized, done, no problem. So, there is that more nearby wetland, and there's wetlands across the street even, that go through culverts and things of that nature, if things do migrate.
I'd move that we make it $5,000.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Buy your wife a new car with the extra money. Well, it'd be a pretty lousy car. Bad idea. Especially in this car. All right, request for review. 170 North Granby Road, Jake Howard, care of Congamon Properties LLC. This is a RFR to restore an existing farm field due to erosion. Is someone here on this one? Jake Howard, Congamon Properties LLC? Online? No. Doesn't look like it. No, no one? Okay, thanks. Kate, what's going on? I mean, this is for your review, it's a staff review. What's going on?
So the work is in the wetland and because it's alluvial soils that are there. So for sign off, it has to go through the commissioner or through a chair, not through me. And what happened out there is back in 2023, there was a flood of the brook on the site. So Mechanicsville Road, where it goes under Mechanicsville Road, the brook goes underneath to another farm field that we saw with some cows on it not too long ago. What happened is it took away a bunch of the topsoil from the farm field and deposited it adjacent to, between the brook and Mechanicsville against the road. So what the farmer had done is gone in there and they had to harvest the crop first. And then once the crop was harvested, that topsoil was going to get applied back to the farm field and restore the pre-existing grades. So they were just looking to restore the pre-existing grades. I was out there yesterday, it could have been, this week for sure. Time goes by fast. And every day's sunny, right? So it's hard to tell the difference.
Except today.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't today. And I would say there's probably about 60% germination of vegetation out there. It's very greened up. It looks it's well stabilized. So what Mr. Coward is doing is he's working with the USDS and NRCS to update their conservation plan. So we can sign off on the RFR or we can just wait till the conservation plan comes in. The fact that it's stabilized, I feel comfortable. Before that, I wouldn't say signing off on it. But I kind of think holding off until, because it's not a permit, there's no time frame.
Yeah.
So I'd rather hold on to this and then give the sign off once we've seen the conservation plan, which allows us to have more authority to request that.
So was the idea to push the topsoil that had accumulated back out into the field?
Yep,
Has that been done?
correct.
Oh, okay, and that's what's germinated?
So it was done beforehand. So, I was taking a drive by and swung in and said, what's going on here? But the response to this was very prompt. Things were restored immediately. Communication was really good throughout, and everything is stabilized at this point. Really, it's just the conservation plan that remains.
That makes sense to wait for the conservation plan in case anything changes in there. I can't imagine it would, but why not?
Yeah, I agree.
The use as of right is because of the farming activity?
Correct.
An active farming. But we still have to review it. Okay, so we'll just leave this on the agenda for the next meeting or several meetings until we get the conservation plan. All right, request for review, 5B, 2 Silverbrook Lane, T. Proctor, another RFR to conduct pond maintenance and install a pond leveler due to beaver damage. We heard about this before. Speak into the microphone, please, and
Yes.
identify yourself.
Sure. Toby Proctor, I'm 2 Silverbrook Lane, North Granby. There is a fire pond on my property that has been changed in shape because of a beaver and a beaver family that's shown up. And I've talked with Kate and also gotten some information from, actually gotten a quote from the Beaver Solutions Group up in Massachusetts, and they'd like to put a pond leveler in to reduce the level by about 1 to 1.5 feet, and that will help. It's actually encroaching on quite a bit of more of our property, so it's tripled or if not quadrupled the size of, so.
Over how long a period of time did that?
So it started in the spring.
Yeah.
And every time it rains, it just seems to get bigger.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then stupidly, not knowing beavers very well, I tried to, tear it down a little bit, and
Oh, yeah.
within 6 hours, they would, totally made it nicer.
When
and
you go to
probably
bed
bigger.
and get up the next morning.
Oh, yeah, it was,
That's why they call them eager beavers.
very eager.
Very busy. What are your thoughts, Kate?
It's an impressive dam.
It is.
It really is. It's like 6 feet tall, I think,
Yeah.
at this point now. It's really well built with perfect engineering pitches on
amazing.
each side.
It's like if only human engineers could figure this out.
Yeah. So if you look on the third sheet in the application, you'll see that blue line, which is the extent that the beavers have swollen that brook and enhanced the size of that pond. So we have a great fire pond now. They've really done a great job in giving you a water supply. And the other part of this is that, it's right before the culvert that goes underneath Silver Street. So in terms of the town is working with Mr. Proctor to maintain this device every year and having a maintenance plan for it. And that will also protect our infrastructure, and it will protect Mr. Proctor's property from becoming fully inundated. He has a great, slope on the property, thankfully. But it'll be interesting to see over time how your property develops, and you will now have waterfront property.
Definitely.
So,
Lots of waterfowl and other fun creatures showing up.
yeah.
So when they put the leveler in, I mean, that's a big expansion of that little pond. I mean, how much of it will recede?
I guess John Egan, who's the site manager up there, he mentioned since it is very shallow, it probably will recede.
Quickly.
He didn't even give me a really big amount, but he took an actual, like a leveler, I guess they call it, and he just checked what 1.5 feet would be, and it was, I would say on the edges, maybe another 3 or 4 feet in, so maybe circumference wise, dropping it by 3 or 4 feet all around.
Well, it's still going to be a lot bigger than it
Yeah,
was.
it still will. Now, at least this makes me feel a little more comfortable when we have a huge amount of rain,
Yeah.
it's going to not continue to expand.
And if you look on that same aerial, you'll see there's like so just north of the pond, there's a little circle-looking thing with a shadow, and that is a gazebo.
Mhm.
And it's become a waterfront gazebo.
Oh,
Yeah. Sounds nicer than
So you're saying this pond leveler is going to enlarge the pond that's there?
no,
No.
reduce it,
produce.
Or what-
because it's all expanded up into here.
Oh, that's where it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
now?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't understand. Okay, thank you.
it's going to reduce it, but not completely, back to its original size.
Ooh,
It looks like an old farm pond or something.
Now, the maintenance is going to be done how often?
Yearly is what Mr. Egan said.
And what does that involve?
I think from what it sounds like, they make sure that there's not too much debris. I think there's 6x6 chicken wire around this big contraption, and they'd make sure that there's the beavers haven't gotten into there and cut any of those any of the wiring and any of the wire, and also making sure that debris is not keeping the water from draining. And then also making sure that I think it's either 12-inch or 15-inch tube that's under the water to the dam, making sure it too has not been damaged by the beavers.
And I have to say, I commend you on the approach that you've taken, because upstream is Dismal Brook, which we've recently had a beaver deceiver put in there, so we know the beavers are not leaving that zone very quickly. They have a large area. And, this is a nice natural solution, right? So, and when we were talking and Toby had decided on his own, where to go in and do trapping consistently would actually be more expensive and more of a headache to do, and not really working with the wildlife. So by putting this beaver deceiver in, it really allows nature to do its thing, but at the same time maintain the property and hopefully be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it won't make it totally down, and I don't think the beavers will necessarily go away, but that's okay. It sounds like they're at the top of the kind of the waterfowl, or not waterfowl, but that portion of the ecosystem, so it actually helps the ecosystem quite a bit. So I wanted to keep that. We will definitely have lots more dead trees, because that whole area is all treed. And since they will be drowning now for several years, I'm sure they'll die. Beavers have already taken quite a few trees down, as you can guess. And so it'll be interesting to see its development into more of maybe a meadow area instead.
And I will say, if any trees do need to come down, just
I didn't want to touch that.
let's take care of this first.
Yeah.
All right, so you're just going to monitor this for us, right? Report back? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. In terms of installation, that's okay, so I can contract with
John will
with
sign off tonight,
Yeah,
I believe,
okay.
and you can go ahead and get things going.
Perfect.
It's basically an agent approval, but I have to sign off on it.
Okay,
We'll get that done tonight.
awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, item 6, show cause hearing, 142 Rear and 186 K Street, M. Real, care of Scott and Elise LLC, conducting a regulated activity without a valid IWWC permit, without an inland wetlands permit. Is anyone here on that? Come on up and identify yourself.
Matt Reel, Coal Black Angus Farms at 96 Daniel Trace, Burlington.
So what's going on?
Just farm fields, farm pond. We're just starting the work.
Give us a little more.
That's about all I can tell you. There's not much more I can tell you at this point.
When you say farm fields, you're
Farm,
talking about.
well, I'm putting grazing fields in a farm pond in at this point. That's what I'm doing. I mean, I'd like to tell you more, but I'm not sure what else I can tell you at this point. I mean, I'm working with FSA and NRCS. They're going to be drafting up in 1026, but right now they're on furlough because the whole, government isn't funded, so.
Okay, can you give us a little more detail? Because I'm not quite getting a handle on this.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, back in, what was the date? 5/8/2024, you guys, when Cameron was here, I started working with Matt because he had bought the property. He's looking to subdivide the property. He needed to identify whether there are wetlands in the location so he could have access to the subdivision. And so it's just very much just kind of getting the property, situated when you bought it, I think. And then I was not here for it, but you guys with Cameron approved that there would be trees removed. So there'd be thinning out of weak and dying trees and one temporary stream crossing, and also some timber rows that would go in to do this timber harvesting. And this is about 140 acres, right, Matt?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, so it's a really big piece of property. And so we've gotten a couple calls, and we went out. Matt's been really great to work with. He's been good at, being very responsive. He's, went right away and put up some erosion controls and tried to get everything stabilized. Was available for site visits. I went out with Joel, and then I went out again with Sue, so Sue could see the site, as she does all of our site visits for us most of the time. And so while the area had been removed, a lot of trees had pretty much, most of the 140 acres had been logged at that point. I think maybe like 30's left or something, right?
No, I would say, I think Kate, more like half has been done.
Okay.
Yeah, about half.
So it's a really big piece of property. There are some wetlands on the property that are on our GIS mapping, and it's not clear cut, but it's aggressively cut in terms of what trees remain. And one of the definitions for Connecticut for clear cutting is defined as the practice of removing all trees down to a 2-inch diameter at breast height. So going out there, there's 12-inch, there's much larger trees that remain. They're somewhat sparse, but it's not a clear cut by definition. There is a small piece there was a small piece to start of a field towards the front on K Street. So in terms of expansion of cropland or expansion of agricultural land, there is an expansion aspect of this. Where things kind of went awry is the access road going in isn't just a timber access road, it's an access road. It's a nice access road, it's a good access road, but it wasn't part of the plan. Its location is not quite where it was shown, but it's still a reasonably chosen location. I think it makes sense. I think a lot of what happened, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you were out there is you were doing what was sensible. So there was the sketch on the paper, and then you guys got out there and said, oh, well, it doesn't make sense to have this go over here. Let's just have this go straight over here.
You're totally right. That's
Yeah.
exactly.
So in terms of locations and stuff, I don't think it's, the most difficult thing. It's just the permanence of that access road that went down. There is some of the slash from the cutting that's been piled in some of the wetland areas, one in particular. I think the other ones are okay. They do have some, like maybe a couple of ruts in them and things like that, typical timber harvesting. So the slash would have to be taken out of the wetland so we don't have a fill. And then the pond. That's the star of our show. So if you guys want to flip through your photographs here. So the first photograph there is of a wetland area that kind of runs through the property. You can kind of see the level of cutting that's taken place. There's a lot of material that remains down that needs to either be, Matt's saying he wants to put out Angus on this property, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
So, a lot of this timber will still need to be collected and something done with it, chipped or something, so we need a plan for that. Second and third photographs are just, again, of the clearing that's been done, the cutting. The fourth photograph, so this one here is showing a pipe. That pipe there is the outfall of the pond. So you're looking at the access road that's coming down, so that all that material that you see from the pipe, above the pipe is all fill. And that's fill in a wetland, that's fill in a watercourse. That pipe is diverting the watercourse. How big was that pipe, 3 feet?
42.
42?
The length was 42?
No, 42-inch diameter.
The
42 inch
length
diameter,
was
thank you. What was the
30?
length?
Maybe
sorry?
30 feet in length?
Oh, it's 60.
That's it, 60? So bad. So, and it's also concreted in place, so a concrete truck came in and, to maybe you want to describe that.
Well, it basically, what it does is just stops erosion along the pipe. So it seals the pipe from water flowing along the pipe where you'll get erosion. So it's sort of like a weir.
So that was all installed downstream. So the next photograph you're seeing kind of in the woods is downstream. There is some sediment downstream of the work area that had migrated, probably, definitely before some erosion controls are in. I don't know what's happened. How did it handle the storm yesterday?
Good. The storm prior and the storm yesterday, just nothing. I mean, it's not, we've gone out there, we did seed a lot, and it's holding well. It's holding well, yeah.
So, making sure things don't travel downstream. Inspections haven't been done off property because the sediment that I was seeing that was on the property downstream was less than 2 inches. It was more like a thin coating, something that I would not recommend that would get disturbed for mitigation. The next photograph kind of shows that a little bit more detail. So it's just that thin coating of material. Then you can see the pond looking towards K Street where you see the pipe. So this photograph here. So if you want to keep going on those pictures. Keep going. So that's down gradient. Keep going. Keep going. That one. So on this photograph here, you can see that's the inlet of the pipe that we're looking at. That's the road coming down. So the substrate on the road that's above this, in the background of the photograph, that is like a crushed concrete that's on the surface.
Yep, that
Yep.
is correct.
And then the fill down below, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, that fill's been taken from the property, pretty much from the pond.
Yes.
To make that roadway.
Yeah.
The pond is going to be on the right-hand side of the photograph, down gradient, there's the outfall, and then the road continues outside the photograph left, and at that point, it's just an earthen road that then turns into definitely a logging
Yep.
road at that
Correct.
point.
Yep.
The next photograph. So this is coming down that concrete driveway. So if you're looking at the crossing straight ahead down through the road. On the left would be the pond, on the right would be the outfall and additional clearing beyond that area. Next photo. Thank you. So that's the outfall. You can see there's a silt fence up there. There's been some, Matt Lennon and his son had burned some earth to kind of create a containment area before it went off-site. It was already germinating when I was out there 2.5 weeks ago,
Yeah.
maybe at this point.
Yeah, that whole sort of hill of topsoil is green, the grass probably 3-4 inches high now. At that.
Yeah, so the big thing on this is my understanding, well, maybe we'll just finish the pictures first. We'll do the next photograph. So there's the pond, and beyond the pond, kind of where it's shadowed to the photograph right a little bit, there is a wetland there that also has had some vegetation removed. So that area there most likely was a wetland. It definitely was a watercourse. The area beyond it is a wetland. You can see where the rebar, if you want to scroll up a little bit on the photograph, you can see the rebar around the pipe. That's an indicator of where that concrete is. Maybe just showing the bottom of that photograph if you could. Yeah, so see that's where the rebar is for the concrete. And then the next photograph is just kind of looking out, at some of the clearing work. We can leave it on that pond photograph if that's okay. So the big thing, my understanding, is that in order to get this big thing is we don't have a permit for a pond. We don't have a permit for a permanent crossing. We don't have permit for fill. We don't have a permit for permanent access road. So all these things are in violation. So when it comes to the violation, essentially it's restoring everything. Putting the wetlands back, putting the watercourse back, taking the material that's fill outside of the wetland areas like the slash, taking those out. That would be full restoration under the enforcement order. However, being a farming activity with proof of necessity for what you have here, I think you want to proceed with a permit to
That's
keep
correct.
this in place. So this will be again. So if you think about K Street on the other side and just take a mirror and flip it over, it really feels the same. So if we just go through that same process,
I'm not following you there. K Street on the other side.
so K Street, we had, not too long ago, we had a road, access road come in, a
Yeah,
big farm,
yeah,
farm pond, a crossing, all that kind of stuff. It's at the bottom of the hill, it's very much the same. Except for the road is stable in this situation. The roadway going down is very stable, but the pond is completely exposed.
But there's one thing I'm confused about. You're looking at it as an RFR for agricultural use,
Part of
farm
it.
use.
Part of it, right?
So it has to be an active farm in order to qualify, correct? So what's the active farming activity?
Well, I mean, right now we have an active farm. We have Angus cattle in Burlington and we're expanding the farm. I mean, that's why we bought the property, part of the reason. And then we're working with NRCS. They're going to give you all that info. The 1026 will lay it all out. They're going to be coming out to the site.
All 140 acres are going to be farmed for grazing cows? What's
No.
what's the other use?
Well, it depends on what I end up doing. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do with all of it. I mean, I might clear some of it. I might do some tree farming. I'm going to leave a lot of it. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you exactly, what I'm going to do with the whole piece. I'm definitely not going to create, 140 acres. It's not feasible of farmland.
Is it feasible for residential construction?
I wouldn't, there's one house going there, and that would be my own. There won't be any more. That lot that you guys approved, I don't plan on building on once it gets settled with, the homeowners or the owners of the property at this time. And that's what Kate and she was talking about in the beginning. I mean, I won't be building on that either. So that's an approved lot once that gets settled.
What's the timeline on the input from NRCS?
I have no idea, they're not in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't
But
talk to
the
them.
process has started.
Oh, yeah.
It's interrupted
Oh,
now because of the government shutdown.
That is correct. I've been working with them for years now. I mean, they're putting, grants,
On this property?
this property and the other property in Burlington combined, both.
So this issue is that we don't have paperwork for this activity.
And this activity also needs to be proven of necessity.
Okay, that's what I was.
And it would need to, and because of the fact that it's the excavation there, and the filling of resource areas, it's not something that can be done under an as-of-right activity. It would need to be a permitted activity.
Okay.
Yeah, and, yeah, so because there are 5 specific variations from the original approvals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the notice of violation.
Correct.
And then you've got an enforcement order. So you've got a notice of violation and enforcement order. This is a show cause hearing. So the question is, does the commission want to leave that in place? And typically, that would require complete restoration back to what was on the original approval. But what you're suggesting is you want to leave this in place, which would require a new permit application, which would be a complete new analysis, and you'd have to prove necessity for the farming activities, which where NRCS plays into it. So I guess the question for the commission tonight is, we have the violation, we have the enforcement order. Does the commission want to leave that in place based on the evidence that's heard tonight? And then it's up to, we can hold that in abeyance while he files a permit application, which we've done in the past, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're going to run concurrently. So in terms of stabilization, taking care of getting a plan together, there's very limited things that can be done at this point in time. And those are listed in here. Pretty much, everything. So we can kind of go through this. You had a chance to read through the enforcement order, Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great. So there's a lot of disturbed area. Thankfully, it's a vat where it can hold water.
Yeah, it's
but-
contained.
But it's not completely contained, because if it rains like the dickens, it's gonna
Correct.
go through there.
Right.
So with that being said, and my discussions with you was that in order to construct it in the way that you see fit, if it was to be permitted as a pond, that this area would take till next fall to have finality in terms of construction. So waiting for the time period to pass, waiting for it to settle, waiting for the spring rains to pass, waiting for to dry out again next year. So for that reason, item number 1A, I is in there so that we can have some eyes on this after rainfall. So having inspections done, having you send over the photographs of the inspections of these areas, we can maybe make sure that there's maybe we can go out and actually say, photographs need to be of these 5 areas or something of that nature. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
The next item that can be done is that exposed soils have to be stabilized and seeded with a quick germinating seed mix, which has been done. I haven't been out since it's been chia petted, but it was beginning. And then it goes on to, with stabilization shall be considered successful when 70% of the area is established with 90% of permanent vegetative cover. That'll take time, and that'll happen over and over again if things are, reworked through a permit process or through a mitigation process. Now, this property is really large, and there's wetlands throughout, and in terms of how it's been going so far, it's kind of been going through wetlands.
What's on the other side of the waterway?
What's that?
There's no issue, because you cut the waterway, right?
Mhm.
So right now, it's not flowing on the other side.
There's no flowing water right now.
Because of the
There was no flow?
drought, because of the drought, otherwise there would be.
Oh, I was just concerned, is there somebody on the other side of your property that had another pond or something, and they're not getting any water now?
Well, the part of this is to have a soil scientist, wetland scientist investigate what's happening downstream.
Okay.
So,
Well, can I-
You raised that question because 4A, you say you want to have an analysis, this includes impacts to the downstream wetland and watercourse, so there's apparently a watercourse there. Has there been sedimentation in that watercourse because of these activities?
it's on the applicant's property, but downstream, I have not, it's traveled, but it doesn't appear to be of a great depth, but who knows, there could be a pocket here or there. So to get permission from those people to access their properties needs to happen.
What's the watercourse? Does it have a
It's
name?
unnamed.
Okay.
There- The water course at this time of year is not stopped because of what I did. It stops every summer. Every summer that I've gone there, it has stopped. It's not running constantly.
So essentially, we need to know what was, what is, and what is to be,
Gotcha.
right? So,
And that's part of your enforcement order?
the request.
Yeah, the request, yeah.
So-
Proposed enforcement order.
So item 1C, the entire property shall be delineated by a soil scientist to determine the impact areas and effective mitigation measures. And this will also help moving forward with additional clearing activities to know, what areas to preserve. Because it's so dry out there, right? It's, you know your property pretty well, though. The delineation should be documented for impacts to the wetland resource areas and their upland review areas. The following material shall be submitted by November 7th for review at the IWWC regular meeting on November 12th. A site plan which defines the following: the boundaries of the wetlands, watercourses, aerial estimation of disturbance of wetland and watercourse boundaries, calculation of disturbed areas to wetlands, watercourses, banks, and upland review area, the location of existing roads and trails, the limit of clearing, property boundaries, and any required zoning setbacks associated with completed activities. I don't think there's going to be much with that.
Yeah.
But you do have that.
The only sort of issue is now with NRCS, there's no contact at all. So, I don't know where it's going to end up because they were going to start basically identifying wetlands and doing a lot, but they're shut down. So I don't know how that's going to play out.
Normally we wouldn't wait for the federal government to come in and do something. You'd have to hire your own consultant. So if they are not there for assistance within a reasonable period of time, it's up to the commission to decide. But I would say that hiring someone to go out there and get this done would be necessary. So it's either having good communication with them and assurances, or having someone else in line to get things running.
Well, we did have good assurances and they were going to do it, but when they shut down, there's not much you can do. It's not easy to sort of, by the time I turn it around, they'll probably be paid, so it's sort of a.
No, but the problem is, you've got a violation in 5 instances that go beyond the original permit, so typically, someone who's in violation hires their own soil scientist. We don't wait for the government.
Well, I understand, but I've been working with NRCS and FSA during this process, so a lot of what I was doing, I was under the impression that under farming, I was okay. But as me and Kate talked, it's not that way. You guys, if you don't see it that way, I understand. And that's why NRCS is involved, because they were involved before. So it's not, It's not something new. I mean, they're involved on my property in Burlington just the same.
No, I understand, but they're operating, they should be operating within the permits that have been granted. And they can, at the same time, analyze and evaluate for an expansion of that, which would require you, as the owner, to come back for approvals. That hasn't occurred. So now we find ourselves in a situation where you're in violation of the original, you're beyond the original approval. I appreciate the fact that NRCS is involved, but you're kind of put the horse in front of the cart in front of the horse. So we've got to, fulfill our obligation as commissioners and enforce what's on the books here. So what I'm suggesting to you, I'm just speaking as the chairman, is that in these types of situations, we highly recommend that you retain a soil scientist to begin addressing all of the things that are in the proposed enforcement order, which will probably be approved, so that you can get ahead of the curve. And then when NRCS comes back, they can assist you with a new permit application to expand it. But right now, you're in violation.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, by the time a soil scientist, I called David Lord, the soil scientist that I've worked with.
Yeah.
By the time he gets out there, I'm sure NRCS will be, unless this goes on for months, but I don't see that happening. All I'm saying is the time frame. I don't think we're talking months. I think we're talking, a week, if not 2 weeks at best, is what I'm thinking. If for some reason this looks like it's going on, it's going to last months, this shutdown, call it a shutdown, well then I'm obviously going to have to do something different.
I will say just real quickly, John Coward, that was that was before our last meeting. So that was at least 6 weeks ago, if not 8 weeks ago, that he had been in contact with them way before the shutdown, way before we started these conversations. And he's still waiting. So I don't think there's going to be, even when I think they were backlogged before they had no people working. So I think
you mean NRCS you're talking about? Yeah, but NRCS couldn't put anything, sort of call it, on their schedule until FSA did the 1026.
Okay.
So the 1026 has been completed, but then right when that got completed, this sort of happened with the government, and
Well,
so
I hate waiting for the federal government.
Well, yeah, but I think at this point, we're conflating a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
We had an original permit application that had specific things that you could do. You've gone beyond that. I'm not questioning your motives. I'm not saying it was done with malintent, but you've gone beyond it.
Right.
So at this point, you're in violation. So what our staff is suggesting is that by the next meeting, a week before the next meeting, we want to see some analysis from a soil scientist which will address all of the things that she and we presumably want you to address. Because we can't, as a commission, our charge is to enforce the wetlands regulations and to enforce the approvals that we've put in place. So we're asking you to respond to this responsibly by getting a soil scientist or somebody to address these issues. The government will take their sweet time whenever they get back to work. If they have a workforce left, when, people don't quit in the meantime, this could be backed up forever. We just can't wait.
Well, he can't wait either. I mean, he's got people he's employing, and they're doing work. So, like he said, it was going to week, 2 weeks, something like that, to, get this thing going the way that everybody's going to be happy with.
Sure.
And I guess we can't give him any hints as to what would be acceptable or what would be, out of hand, not acceptable.
Well, on the permit application, you're right, but on the notice of violation, we have the original approval. We have to address that. That's what this enforcement order proposes to do.
Well, has he done the things that original approval approved? I mean, said was okay to do.
No, he's done 5 things in addition to that.
Well, that's, I understand, but the original things that were okay, have they been done?
I guess it's how you define it. So we approved a skid trail. Now we have what looks like a driveway or an access road. There was no farm pond. We have the beginnings of a farm pond.
Okay.
So it's beyond the original approval. I vaguely recall this application. This doesn't look like what I vaguely recall in my mind because of all of these things. I accept the idea that you were working with NRCS to expand that for agricultural use, but
Right.
at this point, that's not in front of us. It's the original approval is what's in front of us.
But we're not clearing trees at this point now anymore, right? I mean, that's stopped.
Where you really went downhill was this water course crossing in the pond. Because,
Right, but-
you were going into clear trees anyways, and no roads are permanent that are out there, you know what I mean? But the permanent road where it comes across and has a culvert with concrete, significant amount of material disturbed and exposed and excavated.
Right.
The water course may disrupt downstream resource areas. The sedimentation from the exposed soil may have other impacts besides the impacts that have already been started. So, the clearing's not, the
But-
clearing is what you were approved to do, not clearing, but, the maintenance of the forestry.
Right. This isn't the forestry application. This is farming. This is farming for cattle, not for trees at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something totally different, really.
But the difference between, you said you worked with who, what soil scientists on the original application?
Oh, the original application, it wasn't David Lord. I've worked with David Lord on
Yeah.
other projects.
But my recollection is we had input on all of these issues on the original application. We don't have it now.
No, we didn't. We
didn't?
No.
I thought there was a soil scientist,
No.
we had a letter that stated that there were no wetlands in the location, that
That
you needed
was-
the access road to get to the subdivision.
So.
But not for the RFR that you're speaking of now.
Exactly. So we had a wetland, wetland review by a soil scientist for the approved lot.
Right.
That's it.
We don't have the benefit of that with what you're doing now, is I
We-
guess my point.
We didn't have it on the first application for forestry, and we don't have it now.
The RFR, though, did show the wetland locations, which are pretty darn close, if not almost accurate to where they are in the field. And it did show all the clearing, not including the wetlands. And it did show all the access roads not going through the wetlands. So there was some,
Yes, some
the
was
commission
through
did
it.
approve it under the auspice that you were not going to clear or go through wetlands except for that one temporary crossing, which would have been this.
Right, for
Yeah.
the clearing portion, that's correct. But we're not clearing right now. So that, basically, what you guys approved has been done. If I was going to start clearing more property, like the other half, we would come in for another application.
You can put in a permanent road for farming activity?
I wouldn't.
Can't be filled without a permit. Needs to be necessary for the farming operation, and it can't include fill or, I can read it to you.
And that's sort
The
of,
fill kills it.
yeah, that's
The
sort of,
diversion of a water course kills it. So for farming, it shall not, so you can do things for farming. When you're expanding the farming operation, new farming operations need approval. And this, as of right, shall not be construed to include road construction or the erection of buildings not directly related to the farming operation, relocation of water courses with continual flow, filling or reclamation of wetlands or water courses with continued flow, clear cutting of timber except for the expansion of agricultural cropland and the mining of topsoil peat, so on and so forth. So essentially, once you start excavating or filling a wetland, you need to have an
Yeah, so it's gonna need wetlands approval. It's gonna need a permit application ultimately.
And I definitely think, the beginnings of an application can be I think one of the hard parts, Matt, is that it's kind of, you're developing this property as you're working it, instead of like laying it out and saying,
It's very, yeah, it is.
you know, and that's
it's
making
hard
this very
to-
difficult.
Correct. This property is hard to do otherwise. I mean, there's areas that I've outlined with FSA, and they're putting it on the 1026, so it will be delineated. It'll show the pond, it'll show the fields. But it is very hard to, it's not an easy property. Like you asked me about subdivision, forget it. I wouldn't, I've built houses, I don't want to build any houses on this property.
But I do think you could have a plan, like if a pond,
We're,
you could know that the pond's gonna go at the bottom of the hill.
we're going to, that's what we did put that on, and we do have outlined grazing field areas also. But
Put it on what? I'm confused.
the 1026, you're going
Oh,
to
the
see
10
that.
we haven't
So-
seen that.
Right. I can't get it to you because they're not open.
But can you, I guess the thing is like the enforcement's in place, but so we can put it in place for the next month, and then you have to come back to us with a new.
Right, nothing's being done and it's stabilized. We can monitor it, Kate can go out anytime, you're welcome, just call me, I'll bring you out there. It's not a problem. I mean, so all as we need is a little time to let, some things sort of
You need a
iron
soil
out.
scientist to get the next application.
Enforcement order, and if he wishes to have a permit, and somebody to evaluate what the functions and values were, what they are, what the impacts are, and if we're losing any functions and values associated with the resource areas by the work that has been done or is proposed to be done.
Which is needed for the new application.
And for the enforcement order, so let's say,
okay.
let's say Matt's like, I don't want
Yeah.
this pond anymore, forget this, I don't want this pipe, forget this.
Right.
So somebody would still need to come in and say,
Okay.
this is what was here,
I
this
see,
is
I
what
see.
is
Okay,
here,
very
and
good,
this
yeah.
is how we're gonna
This is
put
the
it back to something
remediation.
that makes sense.
Yeah. We've done this dozens of times with these orders.
But it's
We
just
did
a
the
little-
one up
it's a little
off
more.
of K Street. What's the name of that one? Similar situation.
Yeah.
And we did a complete site visit, and they came back 4 or 5 times with their scientists to, explain how they're going to stabilize it, how they mitigated the effects from the downstream water courses, and we're in the same boat here. I don't see any palpable difference.
The only difference is that was already a pond and it was already a crossing. This is fresh.
Yeah,
This was just forest.
yeah.
So this is a little bit more aggressive, in my
Right.
opinion.
Well, I mean, you can, the suggestion from staff is that you get a soil scientist on this right away. That's completely up to you. I mean, we're gonna enforce, the original conditions of the original permit. I'm assuming the commission wants to do that. And then if you want to expand it, you're gonna have to come back at some point with a permit application, with the support of, of the federal government's resources. And we'll address that expanded use at this time. But at this point, there's no pending permit application. We're just talking about the remediation, stabilization, everything else.
And I think with the commission, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody's very, is willing to work with all the applicants. And you guys have
Correct.
always been willing to work with the applicants. So I think in this situation, it's constant communication, it's constant updates, when things get past the point of being realistic, because, the exposure is the big thing. The faster this place can, be finalized and green and replanted, things growing, know what the impacts are. If this goes through all summer next year, when you said that, I was very concerned to have this sitting there all summer. So that's where the person comes in before that and says, you know what, this can sit all summer because I looked at the hydrology. I know how big the watershed is. I know how much water's coming in here. I know how much, is going to happen on this kind of storm. And it's reasonably likely that there will not be impacts to anything else while this, gets designed or whatever the case is. So I think somebody does need to come in and make sure things aren't going to hit the fan when spring comes and we have a lot of rain, and we need to know that that area can handle things and not have downstream impacts. So I guess the point of what I'm saying is that the commission is very amenable to being realistic, but the realistic, the facilitation from the commission is always there until it appears that the applicant or the property owner is just not trying. And then at that point, it becomes, more of a legal issue. Did I represent that okay for you guys?
Yeah.
I'm babbling away.
No, I understood it.
Okay.
Well, my concern is that, we may not want or demand that he follow what was agreed to initially, that we may agree to something different, sort of like what's there now. In other words, doesn't have to be put back to the original condition. So it would seem to me that, it would behoove him to get soil scientists on this as fast as possible so that he doesn't end up wasting money on work that we might not demand that be done. I mean, it's very confusing to me, which comes first. But that's my feeling on the situation.
I don't think it's confusing, Dave, because we have an approval of a permit, and he's gone beyond the permit. That's the only thing on the table tonight.
Right,
That's it.
right.
Right, so, and we have our staff saying, this is how you address the violation. I understand he intends at some point to come in with a new application, but we don't have it yet. And we will not have it by the next meeting. So we've got to deal with the notice of violation and the enforcement order tonight. Whether Mr. Reel chooses to get a soil scientist on this right away, I mean, there's some complicated things that have to happen here.
Yeah.
You got to identify the wetlands. You got to figure out what impact the activities that have occurred now, which are in violation of the site plan, are going to affect the downstream watercourses. That's a big issue. I don't know of anyone but a soil scientist who could do that. So, I hear what you're saying, and we want to work with you.
Right, but hear me out. NRCS has soil scientists. They're going to be bringing them out. So I think you got to give it a little time. I mean, who would have thought that the government would have shut down at this point? I mean, usually they whine and moan about it for days and weeks, and then they open it up. I mean, obviously, I don't think this is going to go on that long. It's impacting way too many people. I'm sure within a week or two, they do something.
Would
So
it make any sense?
by the time I get a soil scientist out there, it's going to take minimum probably 6 weeks. So what I'm trying to say is I'm sure in a couple weeks, NRCS will be back at work.
It sounds like all the
Okay.
information you put down here, Kate, on the things that have to be done, he's not saying he's not going to do it, he just needs more time.
Winter
Because,
time.
can we say by
Yeah.
the December meeting instead of the November meeting? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, given the
It's up to us, yeah.
circumstances, I'm just
just do
saying.
that, and if the government stays shut down.
Yeah, then
we're
I
gonna
have to do
make the
something
decision.
else,
Yeah.
right, of course.
Maybe you could do by the December meeting, either there needs to be a letter from the government, or you
Okay.
need to have a contract
Sure,
with a defined date for
perfect.
for work
That-
to start.
That sounds like a,
In the meantime, there's mitigation and stabilization that you've identified here. That's happening or it has happened?
That is happening, and then now we have to just see as, rain events come, because we've been in such a drought, how this behaves.
Right.
So it's gonna be a constant watch, see, it rains, how did it do, I'm gonna move this, I'm gonna, I don't know. If your
we've
machines are
taken-
off-site, but you might need more storage space, an engineer calculation
I-
might show that you don't have enough storage before it goes through the pipe,
I-
I don't know.
I took care of that already. I was thinking exactly what you said, and we made storage space, and we have a 8-inch pipe. That's all that can come through, so we have a lot of storage.
Wait, you changed the pipe?
No, So what I did is I worked on, right, all the mitigation, trying to keep everything stabilized. So what I did is I created a concrete infrastructure
Since I've been out.
surrounding the 42-inch pipe with an 8-inch pipe feeding it. So only 8-inch pipe can feed that area. And we have call it the pond area that will take water. And only 8 inches, an 8-inch pipe of water will come through. So we have a lot of storage if we have big, heavy rain to slow down the water. So, I mean, we're taking every precaution possible. We don't want a problem either. And we've done this before. This is the fifth pond that I built. This isn't my first rodeo doing this. I mean, you know,
So my only concern is that was not something, a solid structure with concrete and a pipe.
well, no, this is part of what I did
Yeah, I get
to
you.
stop I don't want a problem, so that's, the only thing I did since you left was silt fence, more seeding, and put that concrete around there because I couldn't stop the silt, right? I want to stop the silt
You
and,
can check it out.
and stop as much water as possible, because obviously the more water you have coming through on the back side is where your problem's going to be. So I wanted to limit the amount of water, and that's what I did. I didn't work on anything
You're
else.
working on
I mean, it's all
mitigation.
seeded. I mean, I can't, I would just ruin the seed. So I created storage prior to the 42-inch pipe in case there was a large storm, we're not going to get inundated on the other side.
So I'll plan on visiting next week with you.
Yeah, we'll take a walk.
But I think you're making a bigger problem because, well, if property is not stable, then you have a blowout because you're feeding everything through a small pipe, but you have a huge storage area. Where's that going to go?
You won't have a blowout because it's about 4 feet high. So if for some reason the storage got above 4 feet, it would go over the concrete and then the 42-inch pipe would take it.
Okay.
So so basically what I did is I created storage.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. I get it. Okay, yeah.
So there's no, it's not creating a problem, it's preventing one. That's why I did it.
So what we have to do is decide whether to enforce this enforcement order now or give a couple of months to have other things be looked at. Is
We've got a
that,
proposed enforcement order, got the notice of violation that's been done. The proposed enforcement order, I think, it looks appropriate, except sounds like we want to slide the dates out a little bit.
I think if we
so.
slide the dates out, do we want to have it where it's submitted the week before the December meeting?
That, I think, would be
Yeah.
very helpful.
Presented at the December meeting, we'll pick a date, and then,
Because the December meeting's the 10th,
okay.
December 10th.
And then the Thursday, well, you want the Wednesday before,
It's the 3rd,
preferably?
December 3rd.
Yeah, so December 3rd would be the first date, we'll change, so November 7th would be December 3rd. And I think maybe we should add something to this, that at that point in time, there must be evidence of professionals to must be evidence of professionals to be retained and a timeline for their initiation and completion of services.
Sounds right.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You really sure?
I'm sorry I didn't hear that.
Are you guys really sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Yeah, we are.
My head is spinning right.
Yeah.
All right. So who wants to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we're going to use the letter from Kate from October 1st, but changing the dates to, that the materials be submitted on December 3rd instead of November 7th, for the meeting on December 10th instead of November 12th, and that a timeline of the professionals doing the work shall be given, as well as the names of the professionals retained.
Thank you, perfect.
You have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Dave. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
What's up?
see you in a while. Stay in touch with Kate.
It's got to run. Drink on.
What are you drinking over there, Nick? Now I know why all these people show up.
These people were all here for that issue?
Dave, that's a big issue. That's a huge issue. That's huge. I mean, this guy's doing whatever the hell he wants. That's why these people.
Yeah. There's 140 acres.
This is basically, this is a farming
Dave,
project.
Dave. Dave, look, Dave.
Oh, these things are hard.
Always. Big brother.
Are we not supposed to be talking?
Oh, no, that's us. We're not supposed to be.
Just outside is preferable.
The microphones will pick you up, so if you do it outside,
The whole town will know what you're talking about.
they heard me swearing on public access TV.
That's one of the hardest things we've had since I've been on this thing.
Oh, where's he going?
Party's over.
All right,
Should have went to the bathroom early.
Nick is back. I don't think the two, it's an undistributed medal. The two things are not connected. All right, that was the show cause hearing. Let's move right along. 7A, 188 Day Street. Kirk McNaughton, care of Peak Mountain Development. He was here earlier. Permit request to modify an existing permit for a 7-lot single-family residential subdivision and associated site work within a regulated area. Authorized agent approval, 9/17/25. What's going on there?
So essentially, there were some very minor changes. There were additional plantings. So after we went through the planning and zoning process, there were additional plantings to the conservation restriction area, additional plantings to the upland review area. The shared driveway serving lots 6 and 7 was relocated, but still within the upland review area. And there were minor changes to the site grading within the upland review area on the site. So to record that, to have the most up-to-date plan, a modification was done. At this point, there was no request for the bond reduction. That came as a separate request. And because it was very simple changes, it was about just kind of keeping the record up to date. So I signed off on that. And everything was in the upland review area for changes.
Great.
Great. Any questions for Kate on that one? Okay, 7B, 361 Salmon Brook Street, Ms. S. Smith, permit request to install a 192 square foot prefabricated shed on crushed stone within the regulated area. That was authorized by our agent on 10/2/25. What happened there?
Pretty straightforward. There you have a house right on the main drag, and they're looking to put the shed right next to the house in an area that's primarily lawn, outside of the floodplain, the 100-year flood. So that one's, nice little shed. Flat. Done.
Anyone have any questions on the nice little shed? Nope. Approved by our wetlands agent? Okay, 7C, 15 Indian Hill Drive, D. Notarangelo, permit request to modify an existing permit for a 648 square foot in-ground swimming pool and associated site improvements within a regulated area to include an 18 by 12 foot prefabricated shed. That was approved by our agent on 10/2/25.
Same, nice little cute shed.
Nice pool.
Oh, this one's a cute shed.
A cute shed
The
and a
last
nice
one was
pool.
just a
Well,
nice
it has
little
a pool
shed.
with it, so it kind of like changes the vibe. But, so we just recently approved the pool to go in. I went by, they have their erosion controls up, everything's going well. So the pool's going in and then the shed's just an addition. It's already in a maintained lawn area, so, simple.
Okay. Any questions for Kate on that one? All right. Correspondence, no, commissioner reports and correspondence. Do we have anything? I do have one thing. So on Lakeside Drive where I live, I don't remember the address, it's 3 houses in, it's under a condemnation order to, thank you, 62 Lakeside Drive. Yeah, to demolish the building, it was crumbling in on itself. So.
Was what?
It was crumbling in,
Oh.
the building, it's a little cottage, it was built by the Beach family back in the 50s, it's laid fallow for the last 30 years.
Oh.
It was falling in, it was condemned, the town finally got the owner to move to demo it, which is being done. But some people associated with the lake, Friends of Manitouk Lake and Manitouk Lake Association, asked me whether they needed a wetlands permit in order to do the demo and associated work. It's right on the water. My reaction was, they're under orders from the town to demolish it. I believe our building official, Joel, is monitoring the situation. And they're operating within the existing cellar hole. And they're just reinforcing that. So, Kate, I indicated I would ask your opinion on that.
I'm just pulling up the property right.
We were led to believe, and when Joel met with the gentleman, that as long as they stayed in the footprint and disturb outside the existing foundation, he could just demo the house. If he's gone outside that doesn't do it.
He hasn't. He's within the foundation. What he's doing, because part of the foundation floor collapsed, is he's, not the floor, the wall, on at least one side of the foundation collapsed in on itself, so he's rebuilding that with concrete reinforced block.
We're not aware of that. So
Yeah, so Joel may want to take a look at that. I don't know, and he does have some sedimentation control in place. I don't know whether it's sufficient. I don't know if Kate wants to take a look at it. I didn't think it required a permit because he's within the confines of the existing
I think
basement.
the only issue would be if the machinery that's used has tracks and it's going to disturb the soil and then make it so that there's the potential for erosion into the water. And there's nothing permanent happening, it's temporary. I'm seeing that it's not in a mapped wetland where they're doing the work, so it could easily be an agent approval, and I don't think it would fit under, well, maybe it'd fit under an RFR.
Is the owner local?
No, the owner's from out of town. I think he's a builder. I can tell you that the equipment he's brought in, which is basically a backhoe and a dumpster, is sitting on what used to be the concrete slab for, what is the concrete slab for what used to be the garage. So it did have tracks, but it probably came in over the driveway. Looks to me like there's activity within the regulated area, but I don't think they can get their equipment down into the regulated activity. They've driven the equipment right into the structure itself.
So personally, what I like to do is so when I'm looking at, so section 4.1 D states that uses incidental to the enjoyment and maintenance of a residential property. Uses shall include maintenance of existing structures and landscaping, but not include the removal or deposition of significant amounts of material into a wetland or watercourse diversion or of a wetland or watercourse. So it would fit under there where there would not be a permit fee. And the benefit is, if they file an RFR, there's no fee, single page application. I have the opportunity to go out to the site, meet with them, say, here's your concern areas, here's your not concern areas, so we don't run into something after the fact. So that's the beauty of filing the paperwork. So my recommendation is whenever somebody's in that zone and they're gonna have especially if there's large equipment moving around, debris, things of that nature, erosion controls you feel are needed. I think once you think erosion controls are needed, I think it's good to have some kind of RFR done. I can go out there, have a little, discussion about sensitive areas. And it's also an opportunity to give education. But I do see the other point of not. But I think getting into the routine of not is more dangerous than
Oh, I agree. I agree.
we've been experiencing.
I mean, this doesn't look like it's terribly impactful, and I think everyone, the neighborhood and the town was happy to see the demo occurred because it was a horrible situation, but it would make sense that somebody look at it from that perspective. I don't want to necessarily,
Won't slow it down, because it
Slow
can
it
be,
down.
it can be very fast. It's just, you know,
it's,
putting.
it's done, basically. The demo's done.
Oh, okay.
Reconstruction is not commenced.
Okay, well, and as long as it's stable, I mean, if it's demo's done,
I
it's
mean,
stable.
it
it's
happened
usually-
like in a week. I was away and I came back and the building was gone.
Yeah, the core heating deadline.
Yeah.
So I mean, Joel can just make sure it's stabilized.
He actually is going now, I don't know the day and time, next week, I want to say Wednesday, if you want to try to go with him, I'll let you know.
Great. All right, that'll make the,
So no
Friends
R,
of-
no RFR.
I don't think so,
They'd
unless,
have to
unless you put eyes on it and you think we need it, but
They'd have to get our approval to put a replacement building in.
no, I think he's been told, what I understand, he's been told he's got to work within the existing foundation. Can't go beyond it, can't expand it. And that's what it looks like he's been doing, except,
I don't know how good the foundation is.
no, part of it already collapsed and he's
So
fixing
he
it.
most likely will have to come back, because he's going to need to excavate the
Okay.
foundation.
Yeah, it didn't look too good, but that's up to the building official. Shh. All right, that's all I have.
I do have one quick update. So 249 Silver Street, there were trees cut down adjacent to a pond, which is fed by a watercourse. And Sue and Abby were able to go out. My week, I had some family emergencies, and I couldn't get out to the property. The property is a new property owner. I spoke with him tonight, and he sounds conservation-minded, but he wanted to see the pond. His neighbors can all see the pond. He shares the pond with 3 other people. So, and a neighbor called in regards to the clearing that was happening on his property. So I think he took about 50 trees down. Very few of them were in the 100 feet, though, because the property is very deep. So my plan is to go out with him next Tuesday and walk the property, kind of let him understand what the resource areas are, and then we'll put together a notice of violation, maybe to be, to convert it to an enforcement order because of timing, where he can put together a planting plan to restore that area, but yet maintain access, have a sitting area, try to accomplish both goals. A lot of the trees were dying, I guess, from organs of bittersweet choking them out. So we'll see with the rest of the forested area what that looks like. And I think at the same time, looking at the neighbors' properties that are on the opposite sides of the ponds, maybe stopping in just to give them some education on herbicides and pesticides on some large lawn areas would be a good thing to do, just to close the loop on that one resource. So that'll be coming at the next meeting in terms of another clean it up.
Did he have a big bittersweet problem?
What's that?
Did he have a lot of bittersweet?
Yeah, yeah. What I was told, yeah.
So you don't mind if I keep chopping that bittersweet at its root, do you?
No. But we do need an RFR, I'm just kidding.
I hunt it. I'm like, I hate that stuff. I hunt it down.
Yeah, yeah, when I see one of them, I'm like, no matter where
Yeah,
I am,
the little
yank
ones, I
them
just
out.
rip them out. And
Yeah.
the big ones I read, you cut it at the base and about a foot up and keep checking it every year.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
Oh, they're horrible.
Mhm. So that's all I have for this evening.
Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Keith?
Is the sound off?